there, this is Dr. Ellis, and I just want to give you a brief overview of what you're going to be working on here in Module 2. So this is an introductory data analysis course, and when we think about data, a lot of times we think of reading data into software and crunching numbers and things like that. Well, data analysis is more than just crunching those numbers. Really, data analysis is all about learning from data, and we can't analyze data in a vacuum. And what I mean by that is it's more than just putting the numbers into software and see what comes out. We need to learn about what's called the domain knowledge. And so domain knowledge talks about where does data come from. Because depending on where data comes from are going to be the types of conclusions or the questions that we can answer using that data. So in this module, we're going to start talking about where does data originate from and how is that going to change our conclusion. One of the things that I try to do in this course is I want to introduce you to outside resources, not just the things that I have created. One of the places that you're probably going to see a lot of data from in your career as a public health professional will be from interviews. So one of the things I'm going to have you do in this module is actually watch a training video that talks about how to collect data from an interview. And I want you to think about how that process may affect the data that's collected, and in turn, what would that say about the conclusions that we could reach? Can we get good conclusions from bad data? And hopefully you'll see the answer to that is no. The other thing you're going to see in this module is introduction to some vocabulary. That vocabulary is going to continue throughout the rest of the course. 4 words that you're going to learn are going to be population, sample, statistic, and parameter. Those 4 vocabulary terms, you want to go ahead and internalize them because we're going to use those for the rest of the semester. They are fundamental to understanding data analysis. Now, speaking of data analysis, in the real world, out professionally, data analysis is rarely done just by an individual. You're usually working in teams. You have the person who collected the data, you might have the researcher, the person that's actually entering it into the software. It's rarely done, from start to finish by a single person. So working as a team is very fundamental when it comes to analyzing data. And so I talked about this in Module 1, but you are going to be expected later on to work in teams for your data analysis projects to build those EPI reports. And so I want to take just a brief moment and talk about that. I know that group work in graduate school can be anxiety inducing. I completely understand. I did not enjoy group work, when I was a graduate student. But I do also think that it's very important for you to have that experience. So the way that I have constructed group work for this course is when it comes to building your EPI profiles, you are going to individually build a pool of information, and that could be graphs or descriptions. You're going to look at the data sets all individually, and then the group work will be pulling all of that information together. So by the time you actually meet as a group, everyone is going to have some information to bring to the table, and so hopefully that will help facilitate group work and maybe be a little bit better than what you have experienced in the past. Because the real idea of group work is not to take the task at hand and to split it into different segments and everybody does their own segment individually, but it really is meant to be a collaborative process. Everybody, makes that initial attempt, and then you come together so you can actually discuss it and pull the best pieces from that work. So I want you to start thinking about forming your groups. I've created a discussion board that is for finding a group member. So if you don't already know someone to work with, I know you've been virtual, probably, all of last semester, so it may have been hard to meet fellow classmates to choose a group. What I would like you to do is post to that Find a Group Member discussion board and think about things not just, hey, I'm looking for a group member, but you might want to say things like, hey, I like to get work done really early so that you can find other people that like to work early. Or if you tend to procrastinate, go ahead and say that. Find other procrastinators to work with. Find people that work on a similar schedule as you, and that will also help with the group work progress. So if you have any questions about that or about the material or anything in general, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer questions or help with anything that you need. And I hope that you have a great week.